good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this. Welcome back or welcome to my channel. Today we're continuing the series I've called Exercising Self-Compassion. And thank you, by the way, for the love and support for my last video on self-care kits. I appreciate your encouragement so much. It's unreal. So thank you very much. Moving forward though, today's video is all about tackling shame. And it's an important one because shame is probably the worst feeling ever. Alongside guilt and anger, it's the lowest vibrating emotion there is and is completely and utterly attracted to itself. Emotions tend to love themselves anyway, but when it comes to shame, shame loves manifesting itself more and more. Just like when we're having a stressful morning and then everything else that day just seems to get worse and worse. Shame is the same. It loves lingering in the background, zapping our energy. It adores catastrophizing and is such an awful emotion. However, shame needs these three things to survive: secrecy, silence, and judgment. And it fails to stick around without them. Shame wants us to hide away, to stay silent, to have this really destructive, negative inner dialogue. It is often linked to guilt, but shame is I am bad, and guilt is I have done something bad. There's a difference. When we feel ashamed, it eats us alive, and we don't treat ourselves compassionately because it encourages us to do the exact opposite, to beat ourselves up. Most recently, I've been at war with myself and shame has been absolutely suffocating me. There's this great speaker called Breanne Brown, and you should check her out. And she says that shame is a straitjacket, and she's totally right. She also says, shame hates it when we reach out and tell our story. It hates having words wrapped around it. It can't survive being shared. Shame loves secrecy. When we bury our story, it metastasizes. Now, I'm all about living fearlessly in the hopes that it encourages and helps others and myself. So today I'm going to open up and be vulnerable about the shame that I have been feeling recently. I'm going to kick shame's butt, basically, even though it makes my skin crawl to do so. So, recently I've been wrapped up in this world of applying for jobs, going to interviews and being rejected. A lot. The process has been really tiring and I feel really embarrassed when people ask me that common question, so what do you do? Because it's nearly a year down the line and I'm still saying, oh well, nothing yet, but I'm still looking. And then I always follow it with the classic, oh but it's fine, something will come along, the right job is out there for me. But I say it without completely believing it. And I say it to protect myself from this red hot embarrassment because I feel like I've failed. I feel like despite tirelessly studying at school, despite training professionally in musical theatre in the UK, despite my grades, my efforts, my hard work, that nothing has come out of it. I feel like everyone around me has got a job, a really good savings account, and they know exactly what they're doing, and I'm just plodding along. And for that, I was ashamed. And so yeah, I do still hate the question, so what do you do? Because I still find it difficult to answer. Because it brings to the surface this feeling of not being good enough, and it's crippling. It kept me up at night, it kept me from eating, it kept me from enjoying my life and being present. It even made me want to quit YouTube in case that was stopping people from employing me or even stopping people from being my friend. I was worried that putting myself out there was a bad idea, and I was ashamed of struggling with my mental health, which was a hurdle I thought I'd gotten over. But it came back because I hadn't tackled it, I'd just hidden it away. So how did I fight back? How did I ride out this emotion? And how can you do the same? Well, I've come up with these 4 steps that I did that might just help you. Firstly, I acknowledged and loved my humanness. We aren't robots. If we were, life would be boring. We aren't perfect, life isn't perfect, and that's okay. Learning to acknowledge, then love your humanness are 2 different things. I knew a part of me knew that life wasn't like the movies, but learning to love my humanness was a completely new concept to me, and it's still something that I'm working on now, but it's already changed how I judge myself and others in such a positive way. Secondly, feel it. Feel shame. Let the emotion sit there and let yourself feel what it's like physically and mentally. Don't ignore it and pretend it's not there by listening to music that pumps you up or getting all dressed up to go out with your friends, because you're just making yourself feel better. You're not actually tackling the emotion as it is. Instead, try inviting the emotion to just wash over you for a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong, this step is really uncomfortable, but it's also really crucial. Thirdly, open up a dialogue. Not with yourself, not with your cat, but with another human being. Someone you love and trust, of course. Invite them inside your shame and share with them the ins and outs of how and why you might be feeling this way. They don't need to provide advice or a winning solution. Their ears are enough, because shame cannot survive if we talk about it. When we talk it through sometimes with others, it can reveal whether it was rational or not. Meaning we could feel ashamed because of something bad we've done, which makes sense because we all have a conscience and it's just showing that yours is working correctly. But when we feel ashamed because of an opinion like I am ugly or I am a failure, this is debatable and more often than not, false. And finally, journal. I love journaling so much and I do it most nights. In fact, when I don't do it, I notice the effects on my mental health. It helps just to jot down your thoughts and feelings and get them out. And putting pen to paper is so therapeutic, especially at the end of the day when you want to lay your emotions to rest. It also helps you sleep better too. Also, you can go over past entries and see just how far you've come, because sometimes we forget just how much we've been through and just how strong and powerful we are. So, there we have it. And I hope that these 4 steps inspire you to compassionately tackle shame, because it is so, so vital that we do so. Treat yourself like your own best friend and learn how to exercise self-compassion, because it is one of the most greatest gifts we can give to ourselves. It creates a better quality of life for ourselves and the people around us. If you found this video helpful, why don't you share it with others, give it a like or subscribe if you haven't already, because that would be great. And it really, really means the world. Keep being amazing and don't let shame rule your life, because you are way more powerful and you are ultimately in control of this big, old, complex organ we call the brain. Look after yourselves and I'll see you very, very soon for my next video in this series all about exercising self-compassion. God bless. Mwah.